Here's the truth. When you ask a guy, what are you really thinking about? He's only really thinking of one thing. Should I tell her the truth? Hello, and welcome to Part of Love with Colt and Ang. I'm Colt. She's not here right now. And this is the channel devoted to helping you find the love you deserve. I'm so stoked that you're here today. Thank you for checking out the video. This is the place that my wife and I created to talk about all things love. So if you ever had questions about love, dating, relationships, and you just feel like you can't find the answers anywhere else, or you think that they're total bullshit, well then hopefully we can help you here with some straight talk from a couple who has been together for over a decade. So today's topic: what are men really thinking about? I've heard versions of this question hundreds, if not thousands of times in the world, especially when people find out that you have a love coaching business. But way more than just out and about in the world, I hear about it here on YouTube. There are tons of channels and tags made by single men who have their whole channel devoted to telling women how to learn man brain, understand man brain. You can do it. We don't have to change. You have to change, and it's your job to fix us. I've got a bunch of other videos on how I feel about that whole mess. I'll try to remember to link it up here in this corner over there. But today is actually a really important version of this topic. Not just because knowing this secret of what men are really thinking will give you an edge in understanding a lot of men's problems in relationships, and especially with communication, but because understanding why we don't tell you what we're actually thinking about is going to help you find the love you deserve, which is the whole point of the channel. So in this video, I'm going to attempt to do a few things. One, explain why asking such a seemingly harmless question is often met with a lot of resistance. Two, tell you why we won't tell you what we're actually thinking. And in doing so, snowball right into number three, I'm going to tell you what we're actually thinking about. Sound good? Okay, let's get into it. So number one, why is this question such a big deal? It's totally not. Right? This may sound dramatic, but it sort of is. Because a lot of times when you ask that question, you're not asking that question. You're asking us a much bigger question. What aren't you telling me? And that's exactly what we hear, which is why we don't respond well. And look, I want to make it really clear that I'm not making this video to give emotionally stunted, non-sharing, non-communicative men in relationships like hall pass. That's not what this is about. Men talk, and if you want to be in a relationship with somebody, talk to them. Tell them how you're feeling. You need to go through all those things. I'm just saying that this particular question doesn't usually mean what the words it's made up of mean. It's sort of like saying, hey, how you doing? It is very rare that you expect the guy wiping down the carts at the grocery store to launch into like a full explanation of his emotional and mental well-being and how his day's been going, or maybe his week, and just sit down and really hash that out. You're not asking how he's actually doing. You're asking for him to go, good, how are you? Do you want a cart? Now, today's big question isn't exactly the same, but it is another one of those questions where when you ask it, you're actually asking something else entirely. The big difference here is that instead of wanting less information, you actually want a lot more. When we ask someone, what are you thinking about? We're asking them to share with us not just what they're thinking, but whether or not it's about us. And if so, or if not, why or why not? And worst case scenario, are you thinking about someone else? Are you thinking about something that you don't want to share with me? And if you don't want to share with me, why don't you want to share with me? I mean, we should be able to talk about these things. I don't even know what you're thinking. Oh man, it could be anything. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So what are you thinking? You see what I'm saying? It can go off the rails like really quick. And all of that is packed into one tiny and seemingly insignificant question. That's why we don't answer, because we're not sure we're going to give the right answer to the question you're actually asking if we just out and out tell you the truth. But that's crazy. I mean, if you just tell me what you're thinking about, then it wouldn't be such a big deal, right? Well, actually, it would, which leads us directly into part 2/3. Okay, now we are getting into the meat of it all. Here's the part where I'm going to share with you why we don't tell you what we're thinking, and in doing so, reveal what it is that we're actually thinking about. A lot of times when men don't tell you what they're thinking about, it's for one of two reasons, and we are going to unpack them both. One, nothing. They're not thinking anything worth sharing. Like literally, I mean like video games. Like what if I was in a video game? Is this the Matrix? Am I gonna get to go to outer space? And if I'd said that thing to that guy at the red light, oh, I would have gotten him good. You know, that kind of stuff. Ridiculousness. The other one is the flip side. That's when we're thinking about everything. They're the thoughts that we think are burdensome. Maybe there's issues at work, maybe money's tight and we just don't know how we're gonna fix it. You know, we're having problems on our side of the family and we don't wanna deal with that by bringing it to you because we don't wanna bring it into our family. That kind of stuff. And there's a really singular issue with both of these types of thoughts. We don't wanna share either of these kind of thoughts with you because it's embarrassing. We don't know if you're gonna understand how we got our brains to video games and outer space, or if you're gonna think less of us because we're still thinking about some bullshit that happened at a red light 6 hours ago. Or flip side, we're really fucking worried that we're not fulfilling our part of the bargain that we made with you. If we're stressed about work or money or family or any of that stuff, the minute we share it with you, it becomes your problem too. I mean, in this situation, our job is to provide. So when we're not providing, it's embarrassing. If we're stressed and we're not able to handle something, we don't want to share that with you. Of all the people in the world, we don't want to look weak in front of you. We're supposed to be the things we told you we were going to be. So half the time that we're not sharing with you, it's because we feel like we're protecting you. We're protecting you from the troubles of our world. We're protecting you from the places where we come up short, our failures. And knowing that, suddenly this tiny little insignificant question becomes a lot more impactful. So the next time that you see your man deep in thought like Jack Handy, instead of taking the fast lane and just like whipping the question of questions towards him, maybe just go over, wrap your arms around him, bring him back to your world together. Because whether he's in outer space fighting outer space monsters, or he's worried about how he's gonna put food on the table, if he's a good man, he's not thinking about other women. He's already got you. And when you're worried about what your man is thinking, remember that him not sharing it with you sometimes may just be a part of love. Okay, I wanted to give a quick addendum to this video. This video was made to help you understand the inner workings of your man's brain, but it is not, as I said earlier, to give him a permanent excuse and not talk at all. The first thing men are thinking about, the video games and the space aliens and stuff, those aren't gonna go away. It's called imagination, and honestly, we should probably foster some more of that in all of ourselves. But that second one, the protector mindset, there are times when that is going to be really, really useful, and more than that, necessary for him to share. And the catch is that only you know when it is or isn't time to fight for clarity there. Here's a good test though. If it's affecting your relationship in a negative way and you're willing to accept that whatever the worst case scenario of what he tells you is better than the situation you're currently going through, then push on. I mean, our first video on here was all about fighting for your relationship and knowing when to fight. I'll link that right there. There's really no steadfast rule for most of this, but I just wanted to be really clear that sometimes talking really is necessary. And sometimes the let it ride approach is also necessary. Just know what you're doing. Pay attention. Don't let it just like ride off into the sunset. Also, if you're super genuinely worried that your man's thinking about other women and like that's the constant thing, especially if you've been together for a while and you're still worrying about that, that's a whole other treasure trove of stuff that you really need to dive into, because if you think he is and you're getting signals that he is, he might be. He might not be one of those good men that I mentioned earlier. He may just suck. That's possible. I think we should throw that out there. He could be thinking about other women. If he's not an asshole, he's probably not. Okay, thanks for watching the video. And here's all the YouTube stuff that I forgot to do earlier. Here we go. Check out some of the other videos, the playlist. We actually do a men's talk here Friday at noon. I will link that playlist up here for season 3. Check that out if you want to know more about man brain. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see on the channel in the future. And until then, I'll see you next time. That doesn't make sense.